Hello students, I am Dr. Shrikant Bhavse, Assistant Professor at Department of Advanced Management Studies, GS College of Commerce, Varda. In the earlier videos of investment analysis and portfolio management, we have seen how to select the securities, how to construct the portfolios. Now, in this video, we are going to study that how the portfolio is prone to the different types of risk and how this risk can be managed by constructing the optimal portfolio. There are two measures by which we can measure the risk. First one is the standard deviation, second one is the variance. In addition to that, there are also covariance and the beta. By taking into consideration all these things, we can construct a good optimal portfolio. But remember, all these things are theoretical and these things investors do not take into consideration while buying the stocks. This is very unfortunate thing, but practically it is not possible for investors to study all these factors before investing, because at the time of investing the investment is made with the different n number of factors taking into the consideration. But by using this scientific method, you can reduce and you can minimize the risk of a portfolio. So let us start that how to construct a balanced portfolio. When people are talk about the risk free and multiple risky assets, the first thing you should remember that there is no instrument in the world which is risk free. Many people think that the sovereign bonds are risk free, but we have also seen in last few years that the complete countries went bankrupt. When the complete countries are going to become bankrupt, how the sovereign bonds will be repaid by their treasury? So this is the case with the exceptional countries which are relatively very small and having a very small contribution in the global trade. But still a layman can say that the treasury bills or the government bonds are risk free. But as a student of finance and management, we cannot say that few instruments or because they are owned by the government they are risk free. We can say that the negligible risk is associated with this instrument, negligible, but we cannot say that they are completely risk free. The second point is that nationalized banks FDs. People also think that when they are investing into the banks, in the nationalized banks in the form of FDs, in the form of fixed deposits, they are risk free. No, because any bank can become bankrupt at any moment of time. We have seen many banks going completely bust in last 10 years. But when you are investing into the nationalized banks, the risk is quite less as compared to private or the cooperative banks. Then there will be always two approach of investors and traders. First one is the defensive and conservative approach, and second one is the aggressive approach. Remember, when the investor is investing into defensive and conservative stocks, these stocks may be FMCG stocks, these stocks may be pharmaceutical stocks, these stocks may be healthcare stocks, and these are stocks which are not rate sensitive, that no matter that how the monetary policy or fiscal policy is announced by the government, these stocks are not prone to volatility because of the interest rates. So in the defensive approach, when people are investing, when they are investing into the pharmaceutical stocks, remember that no matter what is going to get happen, the people are going to become sick day or another day, and the diseases will be always there. The lifestyle diseases are also very common nowadays. So these stocks are defensive stocks, and these will perform very well in the long term. Then the FMCG stocks, no matter that what happens in the global trade, what happens with the geopolitical things, but people will always consume food, they will always buy the necessary goods and daily needs. So these are the defensive stocks which do not have any great impact of interest rates. So the investors which are conservative in nature will buy the defensive stocks. Next one is the aggressive approach. Here the investor or trader will think of high risk and high return strategy. If an investor is betting on banking stocks, if they are investing into the private banks or nationalized banks, they are interest rate sensitive, but when the market will go up, their stock prices will also go up exponentially. They will invest into the automobile stocks. When there will be a boom in the economy, people will tend to buy the automobiles, and the stocks of automobiles companies will rise like anything. So this is the aggressive approach. But remember, whenever the economy will go into the recession or slowdown, they will also face huge losses. But when you will perfectly blend the defensive and conservative approach with the aggressive approach, it will get balanced. Suppose you are very balanced person, you want some risk and you want some consistent returns, you will have exposure 50% in defensive stocks and 50% in aggressive stocks. If you are quite aggressive and less defensive, you will invest 60% in aggressive and 40% in defensive. If you are very much aggressive, you will invest 100% in aggressive stocks, that is rate sensitives. But if you are quite aggressive and less defensive, you will invest 70 to 80% in aggressive stocks and 30 to 20% in defensive and conservative stocks. So the combining of this portfolio will give different types of returns, which we will study. Then this improves the risk and return characteristic of your portfolio. When the aggressive stocks are not performing well, at that time the defensive stocks and conservative stocks will give you good return. But when the aggressive stocks are performing well, at that time defensive and conservative stocks will remain as it is, but will not give you negative returns. So it leads to better trade off. Now how to allocate the fund in the portfolio, that depends on the risk preferences of investor, which we have just seen, that is 50-50 approach for defensive and aggressive, 60-40 approach, 70-30 or 80-20 or complete 100% aggressive approach. Now we will study how the risk is measured. It is measured firstly by the standard deviation. Now what is standard deviation? It is very simple thing. It is the dispersion of data set relative to its mean. So there will be a data set, and how, when we are talking about mean, what is mean? If we will take all the samples, if we will sum up them and we will take the average of it by dividing the numbers, at that time it will be a mean. So we are seeing the dispersion of data, how the data is dispersing from the standard is called as the standard deviation. When the stock is very volatile, it is having high standard deviation. Take an example of aggressive stock, take an example of a rate sensitive government PSU bank stock. It will easily give you 5 to 10% move on either side. They may go 5 to 10% up, or they may also go 5 to 10% down. So it will be a volatile stock and it will be having a high standard deviation. Whereas a stable blue chip stock like TCS, very stable stock, blue chip stock will be having a low standard deviation because it also comes in the defensive and conservative approach. The another stock which is very known for its stable returns is the Hindustan Unilever. FMCG stocks with the more than 60 power brands. These power brands are completely of daily needs and having a consistent return. It is a blue chip stock, very stable stock, and it is having very low standard deviation. Now how it is calculated? It is calculated by adding all the data points and dividing by number of data points. Suppose there are 10 data points, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So these 10 data points will be added together and the sum will be divided by 10 because the number of data is 10. So by this formula you can calculate the standard deviation, which is very simple. The next one is the variance, mean of data points subtracting from each data point individually. Now we will take the mean of data and that mean will be subtracted from each and every data point, because we are having say 10 numbers and from each number that mean will be subtracted. After that it will be squared. All the resultant outcome will be squared and then taking another mean of these squares. Firstly, what we have done, we have took a mean. After that we have subtracted that mean from all the 10 data points respectively. These data points are squared and after taking their squares, what we did, we took its mean. So that will be your variance. Now how to, this is individual standard deviation and variance. Now how to calculate the portfolio variance? So we are having the formula for calculating the portfolio variance. This formula is variance of RP, that is P means portfolio, R means return. Variance of portfolio is equal to W1 square variance R1 plus W2 square variance R2 plus 2 W1 W2 multiplied by covariance R1 and R2. Remember, here the R means return, P means portfolio, W means weightage of single, we can say, point or single scrip or stock. Weightage of first stock, weightage of second stock, weightage of first and second stock. And R1, R2 are the returns of first stock and second stock or assets respectively. Covariance R1 and R2 is covariance of two assets because we are having two assets here. Then variance of portfolio is greater when the covariance of two assets is positive. When the covariance of two assets is positive, it means that it is having high volatile. When it is positive, its variance will also positive. Opposite of it, if the covariance is negative, at that time the volatility will be less and the variance will also be less. Portfolio risk is lower when its assets components possess negative covariance. So you should have a negative covariance. Suppose your 5 stocks are aggressive rate sensitives and 5 stocks are defensives, are not rate sensitives. When the market will become volatile, this will go down and this will go up. So both are the different directions and your risk will be minimized. When there will be stable conditions, both will remain stable. When there will be booming condition, this will go high and this will remain stable and flat to positive. So negative covariance is always good for the balanced portfolio. By diversification, portfolio risk can be minimized. If you are investing into different sectors, your risk will be diversified. Suppose you are investing into the automobile sector, banking sector, pharma sector, healthcare sector, realty sector. So all these are the diversified sectors. Now how to calculate the expected return of a portfolio with respect to the risk associated? It will be calculated by ERC. E means expected, R means return, C means on complete portfolio. So the formula here is WP, that is weightage in portfolio, expected return on portfolio, plus 1 minus WP RF. RF is, F means free, RF means risk free. So we will have to minus the risk free return, only then we will be able to come to know that how much return we are getting more. So variance and standard deviation of complete portfolio return is given as variance RC means return on complete portfolio is equal to W square P variance RP, sigma means standard deviation, RC is equal to WP sigma RF, where WP is the fraction invested in the risky portfolio, and while the expected excess return of a complete portfolio is calculated as we have discussed earlier, expected return on complete portfolio minus risk free return, that is RF. So when we are minusing this risk free return from the expected, we will get that how much return we are earning by taking a risk. So substituting ERC in previous formula, we will substitute the ERC in the previous formula. It will become WP ERP minus RF. Very simple. The standard deviation of complete portfolio is sigma return on complete portfolio is equal to WP sigma RP. So now this WP will be taken here. Now sigma RC from left hand side will go to right hand side and it will be divided by the sigma RP. Therefore, for each complete portfolio, ERC minus RF divided by sigma RC is equal to WP ERP minus RF divided by WP sigma RP. So here WP and WP both are common, will get cancelled. Now we will be having E expected return on complete portfolio is equal to risk free plus SP sigma RC. Now you will see from here S have come. So the remaining part SP is nothing but the Sharpe's ratio. So which we will discuss in the next video, where SP is equal to ERP minus RF divided by sigma RP. Remember here ERC is the capital allocation line and SP is the Sharpe's ratio. Now capital allocation line is a very important line on the graph of portfolio risk and portfolio return and standard deviation. So that complete capital allocation line we are going to study in the next video. So this is the complete illustration of risk free and multiple risky assets. Now how this portfolio is constructed by taking into consideration of capital allocation line, that we will discuss in the next video. Thank you.